Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to touch on safety in this industry. So if you've been watching the series that I've been putting together about getting the information out there about getting into the blue collar world or the blue collar lifestyle or working some type of blue collar trade work, we touch base on a lot of things, but one of my live streams we just had recently, a subject came up in the stream talking about safety. Trench safety was one of the big topics we did hit on that live. So I want to kind of make a short, long-term form video about safety in this industry. So especially if the people are just getting in. So we'll start right at the basics, basically. So boots, hard hat, safety glasses, safety vest, PPE as they like to call it, personal protection equipment. The main things that you got to show up to a job site with are boots, steel toe or composite toe, a hard hat. Some companies do provide hard hats, gloves, safety vests, and safety glasses. So you might not need to buy that stuff, but if you want your own hard hat, and a hard hat situation is coming different now too. They're integrating these new hard hats that I call them hockey helmets. They look like CCM TAC helmets from hockey. They got a chin strap, and it's just for fall protection, safety if you're on scaffolding and you bend over or whatever. And I don't know, it keeps it from coming off your head basically. Does it protect any impact more than the old school hard hats? I can't answer that question. I don't have the research in front of me, and I'm not sure. So I'm not going to answer that here. But so we'll start with your protection, what I just said, the PPE, that's main. And then job site safety. I'm sure there's a lot more personal protection equipment. There's got anti-safety gloves, tear gloves, all that stuff. Different types of hard hats, shields. You'll learn all that as you get in, but we'll just do the basics. So that's the basics for you as a person showing up to a job site, let alone your tools. We'll do a separate video on maybe some trades that what you need to buy for tools. So job site safety. You're going to have orientation almost at every job site when you go to different job sites, or you'll have a safety orientation with the company you work for. That might be once, or maybe you might get a refresher every year. That might be required by some states, some job sites, and some GCs. I have continuing education, which that's what they call it, for my hydraulic license. Some states don't require hydraulic license. The state I work in does. Most states, if you're a crane operator, I think it's all states, all lower 48 at least, you need to get a national certification, which is abbreviated. I think it's a national certification for cranes, and I think it's called an NCCCO. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it is. I do not have that. I was going to obtain that. That's another topic for another day. But that's safety for some paperwork that you need. But safety on the job site. Like I said, the orientation, you're going to go through a lot of the stuff that you need to be privy to on particular job sites. So that'll set you up too, which is good. Videos. They're kind of monotonous, especially when you're in this field for a long time. You're in this field for 20 years. You've basically seen just about everything that has to do for people not being safe and people being safe and people being cautious. So I've worked with all types of guys. So trench safety is a big one. You're going to learn that as you get into this industry. There's all different regulations and sloping and benching and 4-foot protection and egresses like ladders and having some type of airflow systems. There's going to be, it's such a broad subject to touch on, but I'm trying to grab a bunch of as much as I can in this short video for you guys. So trench safety is one, rigging safety is another, straps, chains, cables, that's another subject. That's very in-depth as well. Machine safety, tool safety. There is a lot to this industry getting into this blue collar work when it comes to safety on job and on training, situations that you need to be privy to before you go down this avenue. Listen, there's a lot of dangers in this industry. I'm not trying to deter anybody to get into this industry, but you have to be very cautious and aware of what you're getting into. And if I could give a heed of advice or a word of advice to you to adhere by, when you get into this trade as a young man or woman, have your head on a swivel, pay attention to the other guys around you, listen to the people that have been there before you. It might not all be the best knowledge, but at least you can grab knowledge from those particular people and roll it up into your own ball and put your own spin on it, and that's what I have done over my career. Hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've said that before in videos, but that's a really cool little saying about this industry, because you got good people and bad people, and there's ugly subjects to touch on. And I'm sure if you guys enjoy this type of, you know, maybe getting into, since you're already, maybe you were thinking about getting in, now you're in, what to expect when you're in. And safety is supposed to be number one, and you're going to run into a lot of companies that might not put that first. But I have worked for companies that actually do put that first. I'm not going to name drop, but in the New England area, there's some really good companies, but then there's some really bad companies. Again, I'm not here to throw shade on anybody or, you know, boost anybody up. The people that know that they do well know who they are, and the people that do bad typically don't know they're doing bad, and they should. But again, I'm not here to do that in this video. So, safety across the board is paramount when you cross into this work. I don't care what trade it is. Plumbing, iron worker. There's iron workers, I can touch on them. I'm not an iron worker, but I've worked around them. They have a very, very dangerous job. Them and pile drivers have very dangerous jobs. I mean, operators like myself might have some dangers, but your hands are in other people's lives. That's a true statement when you're working around people on the ground. So that's something to be mindful of if you're becoming an operator. Yeah, so basically, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I missed. I just wanted to touch real quick on safety, personal safety, PPE, boots, hard hat, all that stuff, and vests, work site safety, which you will have orientations on the regular about certain jobs and aspects, and then also morning briefings with your company and your crew. You will have safety toolbox talks. Those will help new kids or new guys learning about some of the hazards on job sites. So that's another thing I didn't touch on. So yeah, you'll have orientations sometimes with companies, sometimes with specific job sites. So safety should be number one in everybody's book. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you got to get things done. I understand that. But safety should always come across the bow of the boat, no matter what you're doing in the situation that you are. Because at the end of the day, we all want to go home to our families, and we all want to keep our 10 toes and 10 fingers and go home safe and come back and do it again the next day. So again, this is a quick video. I think I'm going to let this roll. I don't even think I'm going to edit it. So if you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe, hit the notifications bell. If you share this stuff, it gets out into the algorithm, and it's going to help out somebody else that's trying to look into come into the blue collar world, any trade for that matter, and it'll help out those guys that are looking for information. So please like, share, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay dirty.